Okay, so we got a bunch of info from you guys about allergic vaginitis,
Hmm.
and I think it's also called like vaginal contact dermatitis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's this product balance complex and a website called vaginalquiz.com. What do you think about doing a deep dive on all this?
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like an important topic.
Yeah, we want to really look into allergic vaginitis and
Yeah,
see how this balance complex might be a good way to deal with it, right?
absolutely. I think it's something that can really affect someone's life, day to day. So it's definitely important to understand it. And from what we've seen, it seems like allergic vaginitis is basically like an inflammatory reaction
Yeah.
down there
Yeah.
in the vaginal area. It's triggered by, you know, coming into contact with certain things that can irritate it
Right.
or even cause a full-blown allergic reaction.
Yeah.
Like, think about everyday stuff, scented soaps, laundry detergent,
Right.
even the material in some clothes, or certain types of lubricant. All sorts of things can be triggers. And that can then lead to redness, swelling, and then that super uncomfortable itching and burning. Just
Oh.
general discomfort.
It's not just a little bit of irritation, though, is it? Like, the stuff we got says this can actually really mess up your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And if you don't deal with it, it could potentially lead to some longer-term problems,
Yeah.
like persistent inflammation, maybe even other complications.
Right.
So how about we really get into how this condition, like, throws off the balance in that area? Like, what's going on in there?
Okay, so the vagina, it's actually a really carefully controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's got its own defense system. It depends on these beneficial
Right.
certain amount of moisture. And it has to have a slightly acidic pH, usually somewhere between like 3.8 and 4.5.
Okay.
And this basically creates a natural barrier. It helps protect against harmful microbes and irritants.
Hmm.
But allergic vaginitis
Right.
can really mess up this whole delicate system.
Okay, so then how does this irritation at the beginning turn into a bigger problem?
So the irritants themselves, they can directly damage the vaginal tissues, which are super sensitive.
Right.
But it's not just that. Allergic vaginitis can really disrupt something we call the vaginal microbiome.
Okay.
Now, we hear a lot about the gut microbiome these days, but the vaginal microbiome is super important too, right?
Yeah.
It's mainly made up of these bacteria called lactobacillus,
Yeah.
and they're like the key players. They're the ones that produce lactic acid, and that's what helps keep that low acidic pH that keeps the bad microbes under control.
Got it.
So when you get inflammation, it can reduce the number of these helpful lactobacillus, and that throws everything off balance.
Oh, I see.
Think of it like your vaginal microbiome is this awesome, thriving rainforest, all diverse and balanced.
Right.
But then allergic vaginitis comes along. It's like deforestation. Suddenly, everything's vulnerable, and invasive species can move in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
And that's when things can really get out of control, right? Because the info we got says you become more susceptible to other infections when you're off balance.
Yeah, exactly. When that protective barrier is compromised and the pH is all messed up,
Mm-hmm.
the environment becomes more inviting to other less friendly microorganisms.
Right, right.
And the info specifically mentions bacterial vaginosis, that's BV,
Okay.
that often comes with like a thin grayish discharge. And it can have a pretty noticeable fishy odor.
Ugh.
Then you've got yeast infections, that's candidiasis,
Right.
and even UTIs.
Yeah.
So all these secondary infections, they just make the initial discomfort way worse and make the whole situation much more unpleasant.
It's like this chain reaction then. Something irritates the area, throws everything off, and then you're wide open to other issues.
Yep, pretty much.
The material also mentions chronic inflammation. What are the effects of that?
Chronic inflammation, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not just about the constant physical discomfort. It puts a lot of stress on the immune system, too.
Mm.
When your body's constantly dealing with inflammation, it can't repair tissues as well.
Mm.
And it's not as good at fighting off other potential problems. It's like your body's defenses are all focused on one area,
Mm-hmm.
and that leaves them less prepared to deal with other threats.
Yeah, I get it. And I hadn't really thought about the psychological impact of this either. The sources mention it can affect your self-confidence and intimacy.
Totally. Dealing with constant irritation and discomfort in that area, such a personal area,
Right.
it can definitely affect someone's self-esteem, their relationships, and their whole quality of life.
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of stress, and that can even make the physical symptoms worse, according to the material. So it's all connected, really.
It's all tied together. Okay, so we've got a better idea of how allergic vaginitis can disrupt things down there. What about the symptoms? What should someone be looking out for?
The symptoms can vary a bit from person to person,
Sure.
but there are a few main things the material points out.
Okay.
Redness and swelling in the vaginal or vulvar area, those are usually the first signs.
Okay.
And then there's that intense itching or burning sensation,
Yeah.
which can be really awful.
Yeah.
A lot of people experience pain or discomfort during urination or intercourse.
Oh, yeah.
Dryness or irritation of the vaginal lining is another common symptom,
Hmm.
and some people might see a clear or slightly watery discharge.
Oh, yeah.
It's important to remember, these symptoms can get way worse if you don't deal with the root cause.
So let's say someone's experiencing these kinds of symptoms. What's the first thing they should do about allergic vaginitis?
Right.
Our source talks about a two-pronged strategy, right?
Yeah, two main things are crucial.
Okay.
First, you got to figure out what's causing the irritation in the first place and then, stop using it, get rid of it, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
This means really paying attention to the products you're using in that area
Right.
and even what your clothes are made of.
Yeah.
Like switching to those gentle, fragrance-free, hypoallergenic options for soaps, laundry detergents, even feminine hygiene products.
Got it.
That's key. The material also says no douching, no scented
Yeah.
wipe, and don't wear tight synthetic clothing
Right.
because that can trap moisture and just make things worse.
Right. Makes sense. Get rid of the trigger so you stop the reaction. And the second part of the strategy is all about restoring the natural balance.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So restoring and supporting vaginal balance, that involves a few things.
Okay.
The info talks about how important probiotics can be.
Mm-hmm.
They can help repopulate the vaginal microbiome with those good lactobacillus bacteria we talked about.
Right.
Then you've got natural anti-inflammatory ingredients to help soothe the irritation
Mhm.
and antimicrobial agents to fight off any infections that might have already taken hold.
Okay.
It's all about creating the right environment for the good bacteria to take over again.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And that leads us to balance complex.
Yeah.
The material says it's like a comprehensive solution specifically made for vaginal health.
Right.
Tell us more about this product and how it's supposed to help with these problems.
What's interesting is that Balance Complex is marketed as a supplement specifically designed to support vaginal health, especially after some kind of irritation, like we've been talking about with allergic vaginitis.
Okay.
And there are a few key things they highlight. It's called the Original Vaginal Probiotic. It's been on the market for over 10 years.
Wow.
And they say they've sold a huge number of capsules, over 15 million.
Wow. That's a lot.
They also say it's the only probiotic for women with 100 CFUG billion probiotics, and it's got cranberry and D-mannose in it too,
Right.
which are good for urinary tract health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they point out that it's got over 17,800 five-star reviews on Amazon.
Okay, so it seems like a lot of people have had good results with it.
Yeah, for sure.
The material also mentions this maximum strength 17-in-1 strain blend. That sounds impressive.
Mhm.
They say it targets things like odor, itching, and discharge.
Right.
And they're really pushing the fact that it's non-GMO, made in FDA-registered, GMP-certified facilities.
Yeah.
And they even offer a 100% money-back guarantee through Amazon. They're definitely trying to make it seem like a high-quality product.
Absolutely. They want to build trust.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you look at the ingredients, you can see how they're supposed to work together to support vaginal health.
Okay.
The blend of lactobacillus strains is really important. There's acidophilus, rhamnosus, reiteri, plantarum, and coagulans.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, a whole team of good bacteria.
Right. Like we were saying before, these are essential for restoring that lactobacillus population
Exactly.
and keeping that acidic pH balanced.
Hmm.
They help boost the local immune response, fight inflammation, protect against damage from free radicals, and support tissue repair.
Yeah, they do it all.
And ultimately, they help prevent infections. So a lot of lactobacillus strains in there, all working to restore balance and protect against bad microbes.
Exactly. They're like the first line of defense.
And I noticed they've also included cranberry and D-mannose. The information says that combo helps stop bacteria from sticking to the lining of the urinary tract, so it's good for preventing UTIs.
Right.
And they say it does all that without messing up the vaginal microbiome, which is really important.
It is. It's about maintaining that balance.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got oregano leaf extract in there, too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a natural antimicrobial, so it helps fight harmful bacteria and fungi. But it's also supposed to be gentle enough that it doesn't kill off the good bacteria, which is key.
That's right. Got to keep the good guys around.
And then there's caprylic acid, which is supposed to target fungal overgrowth.
Yeah, so that's helpful for preventing yeast infections.
I see. And what about protease and cellulase? I
Yeah.
saw those listed too.
Those are enzymes that break down biofilm.
Biofilm.
Yeah, but basically, bacteria can be pretty sneaky,
Mm-hmm.
and they sometimes form these sticky protective layers called biofilms.
Okay.
And those biofilms can make it harder for treatments to actually work.
So like a shield.
Yeah, exactly. And protease and cellulase, they basically dissolve those shields.
Clever.
So the other antimicrobial ingredients can get in and do their job.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a smart strategy.
And then there are ingredients like aloe vera leaf. That's a classic, right?
Oh yeah, aloe vera is great. It's really soothing, so it helps reduce irritation and helps those vaginal tissues heal.
Mm-hmm.
They've also included arabinol lactan, which is supposed to boost the immune system,
Okay.
and aniseed, which is both antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory.
So many good things in there.
Yeah, they've packed it in.
Then you've got black walnut hulls and wormwood.
Right, both of those have antibacterial and antifungal properties.
Yeah.
They're traditionally used to help the body detoxify and prevent those recurring infections.
I see.
And finally, there's reishi mushroom.
Okay.
That's a well-known adaptogen.
Mm.
It helps reduce inflammation, supports the immune system, and helps tissues heal.
Wow. That's a pretty impressive lineup.
It is. A lot of thought went into that formula.
Yeah, it seems like it. So apart from taking a supplement like Balance Complex, what other advice does the material offer for managing allergic vaginitis?
Well, they really emphasize avoiding those initial irritants that started the whole thing in the first place.
Right.
That's key. And they also talk about the importance of hygiene. Washing gently with plain warm water,
Mm-hmm.
no harsh soaps, or scrubbing too hard.
Okay.
Wearing breathable clothes, especially cotton underwear, is a must.
Right.
And avoid those tight-fitting synthetic fabrics. Got to let the air circulate.
Makes sense.
Staying hydrated is always good too. It helps with tissue health and healing.
Right.
And lastly, they suggest eating probiotics like yogurt and kefir.
Oh.
That helps keep the whole microbiome healthy.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach. Avoid the triggers, support your body from within, and make smart choices about your lifestyle.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Now, towards the end of all the info you sent, there's this mention of vaginalquiz.com.
So that's supposed to be a tool to help people learn more about their own vaginal health.
Okay.
The material says that sometimes it can be confusing or overwhelming to try to figure out what's going on down there.
Right. Can be hard to know where to start.
Yeah, exactly. So vaginalquiz.com, it's supposed to be a quick, science-backed quiz
Okay.
that gives you a personalized vaginal health analysis in under 2 minutes.
Wow, that's fast.
It is.
So like a quick self-assessment to see what might be contributing to any problems you're having.
Yeah, pretty much. They say it's a good first step if you're dealing with recurring infections, dryness, low libido,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're just generally worried about your intimate health.
Okay.
They really emphasize that it's fast, free, and private,
Right.
and that it's designed specifically for women who want real answers, not just more confusion.
That makes sense. So what kind of information do you get after you take this quiz?
Well, according to the material, you get a personalized breakdown of your vaginal health.
Ah.
It tells you about any potential imbalances you might have.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives you advice from experts
Mm-hmm.
tailored to your specific symptoms and lifestyle.
Okay, so it's customized.
Yeah, it is. They might even recommend specific supplements or things you can do every day to help restore balance and deal with your concerns.
So it's like a cheat sheet to understanding your intimate health
Mm,
without having to go to the doctor or spend hours searching online.
that's right. It's about empowering women to take charge of their vaginal health.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
By giving them personalized information and potential solutions.
Exactly. And they encourage anyone who's interested in learning more to visit vaginalquiz.com.
It sounds like a really useful resource for our listeners who want more personalized information.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's sum up what we've learned today.
Okay.
We did a deep dive into allergic vaginitis.
Right.
We looked at what it is, how it can mess up the delicate balance of vaginal health, the common signs and symptoms, and a two-pronged approach to dealing with it, focusing on both eliminating irritants and actively restoring balance.
Yep.
We also talked about Balance Complex as a supplement designed to help with that restoration process,
Right.
and we touched on vaginalquiz.com as a tool for getting personalized insights into vaginal health.
It was a good overview.
It was. The main takeaway is that being aware of potential triggers and taking steps to support and restore the natural balance of the vaginal environment are essential for managing allergic vaginitis
Totally agree.
and for preventing it from coming back.
Mhm.
Incorporating targeted ingredients through supplementation can play a big part in that process.
Absolutely. Give your body what it needs.
Yeah. So here's something to think about. We live in a world where we have access to so much information
Right.
and more personalized tools for understanding our health.
Hmm.
How might using resources that offer tailored insights into even the most intimate parts of our bodies, like vaginalquiz.com, empower us to make better, more proactive choices for our overall well-being? Not just for dealing with discomfort, but for taking control of our health in a bigger way.
That's a great question. It's definitely worth considering.
It is. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.